Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Martial Universe Season 10 Part 43 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Killing intent shrouded the sky, and it felt as if the temperature had drastically fallen. Fear was revealed on the faces of the previously merrily laughing group, while the smiles on their faces had finally disappeared. Originally, they had thought that with the two leaders bringing them to join Four Titans Palace, the latter would definitely lower themselves and try to welcome them. Yet, the scene before them now. It seemed that Four Titans Palace did not feel that they must absolutely have the Ju Yi duo join them like the latter had imagined. The Ju Yi duo were also startled because of this sudden turn of events. Soon after, they lifted their heads to look at the two unfamiliar figures in the air and frowned slightly. Clearly, they did not know the identities of these two. Big Brother. However, just as fury was rising in their hearts, Little Flame's joyous voice stunned them. Their eyes flashed, and only then did they look at this young skinny figure with surprise. Other than that rarely seen Lin Dong, there was no one else Commander Yang of Four Titans Palace would call Big Brother. In the air, Lin Dong smiled at Little Flame. After which, he landed on the ground. Ha ha, Brother Lin Dong, you have finally returned. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio grinned and said after seeing Lin Dong. Their eyes involuntarily paused on the latter when they spoke. Although it had only been 3 months since they last met, they could feel that Lin Dong was very different from before for an inexplicable reason. Although Lin Dong's fighting strength was already extremely overwhelming previously, his cultivation was merely that of the advanced profound death stage. Unless he was in his battle mode, the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio would not detect any pressure from him. After all, they were genuine Samsara stage experts. Lin Dong was able to rely on his many techniques to raise his fighting strength, but a gap still existed between them. Now, however, the vast and mighty ocean-like yuan power within their bodies had become a little sluggish for some unknown reason when they looked at Lin Dong. This was due to a certain kind of pressure. Moreover, it was very obvious that this pressure originated from Lin Dong. The three of them secretly exchanged glances. They could see the astonishment within each other's eyes. Big Brother, Little Flame walked over and glanced at the Ju Yi duo. Yes, I am already aware of the situation. Lin Dong nodded. Soon after, he faintly laughed. Samsara stage experts are indeed a great help, but if they aren't suitable, it will instead cause the faction that we have built with great effort to be jeopardized. From the looks of it, the Ju Yi duo were clearly extremely proud individuals. Such people might be strong, but if no one suppressed them, they would only cause internal chaos within Four Titans Palace. At that time, this huge organization that they had created with much difficulty would end up collapsing. Lin Dong was also well aware that he must not give in when faced with such arrogant individuals. Otherwise, they would only take advantage and it will be even more difficult to suppress them in future. Little Flame nodded. He also understood this point. However, the Ju Yi duo were indeed powerful. Within Four Titans Palace, even the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio would have difficulty obtaining a clear victory in a one-on-one fight. It was precisely because of this that trying to forcefully suppress the pride of these two was not an easy task. Leave this to me. Lin Dong smiled as an indescribable expression flashed across his eyes. Amongst the 5 great leaders in the newly established Four Titans Palace, the individual strengths of both Little Flame and himself did not stand out. The reason he could suppress the Samsara stage Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio was mainly because he possessed the identity of the Dragon Tribe Punishment Elder and his shocking battle power. Although the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio appeared quite respectful, it was unavoidable that they would feel some unease deep within their hearts. The demonic beast world honored strength. Lin Dong's advanced profound death stage strength would ultimately cause them to feel some discomfort in their hearts. Lin Dong had been well aware of this in the past. However, due to his strength having yet to reach the necessary level, he did not make any moves. Things were different now. With the advancement of his mental energy to the symbol Grandmaster level, just his mental energy cultivation alone meant that ordinary Samsara stage experts would no longer be a match for him. This was the best time to create a deterrence to those outside and within the faction. Ha ha, this must be Brother Lindong, right? We have long heard of your name. The complexions of the Ju Yi duo gradually recovered. They looked at Lindong, cupped their hands together and smilingly said, "Those who come are guests. Please forgive us if there is any way we have failed to take care of you. However, you should seek to understand the rules of my Four Titans Palace." Lindong faintly smiled and said, "That is only natural." Ju Yi nodded. His gaze quickly shifted as he said, "But we also hope Brother Lindong can understand our difficulties. We have brought our subordinates here. If we fail to gain some kind of position, we will neither have the face to see them nor be able to account to them. Why is someone who has been chased away by the 9 Phoenix tribe speaking about face? Isn't that a little comical?" Little Martin coldly laughed. His laughter was filled with ridicule. "What did you say?" The expressions of the Ju Yi duo instantly changed upon hearing these words as they furiously roared. "Are you deaf? Can't you hear what Grandpa Martin has said?" Little Martin's eyes suddenly became ice cold. He took a step forward as a monstrously baleful aura directly spread over the entire place. "Do you think that you are qualified to shout in front of Grandpa Martin? The 9 Phoenix tribe was able to force you to flee. Don't tell me that my Celestial Demon Martin tribe still needs to be courteous to the both of you." Celestial Demon Martin tribe. The expressions of Ju Yi duo stiffened almost immediately while the rage in their eyes froze. They were a little stunned as they looked at the bewitchingly handsome face of little Martin, who wore the mocking smile of someone looking down on them. The words that were about to emerge from the Ju Yi duo's mouth were forcibly swallowed by them. They did not expect that this person in front of them was actually from the Celestial Demon Martin tribe. "Ha ha, please do not mind him. My second brother always has such a temper. He is the tribe leader successor of the Celestial Demon Martin tribe. Therefore, his character is a little bad." Lindong smiled warmly. However, the words he said did not match his expression. Nevertheless, it was likely that the Ju Yi duo understood his meaning. Tribe leader successor. The corners of Ju Yi's eyes twitched rapidly. He felt greatly shocked in his hearts. Both of them had been forced into such a miserable state after merely offending an elder within the 9 Phoenix tribe. This person in front of them was actually the tribe leader successor of the Celestial Demon Martin tribe. This position was many times higher than that of an elder. If they were to offend him, it was likely that they could forget about staying in this demon region. This Four Titans Palace actually has such a relationship with the Celestial Demon Martin tribe. Ju Yi's heart pounded. The arrogance originally present on his face had greatly diminished. Those subordinates behind him also shuddered. Regardless of how stupid one was, one could still clearly see that something was not quite right with this situation. With the backing of the Celestial Demon Martin tribe, Four Titans Palace did not need to hold their pathetic group in high regard. "Brother Ju Yi, we are aware that you have offended the 9 Phoenix tribe. Now, the other party has said that they wish to deal with you. However, as long as you join Four Titans Palace, the 9 Phoenix tribe will not dare to act as they please. Brother Lindong is also the punishment elder of the Dragon tribe, a position personally appointed by the tribe leader. Behind our Four Titans Palace are 2 overlord tribes, the Dragon tribe and the Celestial Demon Martin tribe. What would the 9 Phoenix tribe dare to do?" The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander also laughed at this moment. Celestial Demon Martin tribe. Dragon tribe. The Ju Yi duo faced each other. Their mouths were rather dry. 2 of the 4 strongest overlord tribes in the demonic beast world were actually backing Four Titans Palace. No wonder the 9 Phoenix tribe did not dare to cause much trouble when Mang Mountain ended up withdrawing in a defeated manner after attacking the Beast War region. I am aware that you have some grudges with a certain elder of the 9 Phoenix tribe. I cannot guarantee anything, but I can tell you that my Four Titans Palace might be one of your very limited choices in order to find an opportunity to take revenge and avoid being taken revenge on by the 9 Phoenix tribe. Lindong smiled faintly. He stared at the Ju Yi duo, whose expressions were fluctuating, as he continued, "Of course, If you people do not feel any enmity towards those who have uprooted the faction that you established with much effort and chased you away like homeless strays, you can treat it as though I have not said anything. The expressions of the Ju Yi duo had become completely dark after Lin Dong's words sounded. There was a dense hatred surging within their eyes. They were top experts in the Western Sand region. Yet, their reputation was completely ruined this time around. Fleeing all over the place and trying to seek protection was really something that the both of them could not bear. Such an enmity was extremely great. How can we forget? Us brothers will definitely turn that old dog into mincemeat within our lifetime. Ju Yi gnashed his teeth and said, Brother Lin Dong, I am aware of the meaning behind your words. We have been too arrogant in Four Titans Palace earlier. I hope that Brother Lin Dong can be magnanimous and forgive our offense. Ju Yi cupped his hands together, faced Lin Dong and said. At this moment, they had finally begun to understand that they had no choice but to join Four Titans Palace if they wished to seek revenge. For Titans Palace has strict rules. If you wish to join, you will be members of Four Titans Palace in future. You should be able to guess the outcome of not following the rules. Lin Dong's sharp eyes stared at Ju Yi's group as he slowly said. The Ju Yi duo exchanged a look. They subsequently clenched their teeth and nodded. Now, do you wish to obtain a leader position in Four Titans Palace? Lin Dong crossed his fingers and laughed faintly after seeing that the pride of these two had been suppressed. Brother Lin Dong really knows how to joke. We are already extremely grateful that you have accepted us. We do not dare to make such an over-the-top request. Ju Yi laughed bitterly. Although he hid a sliver of dissatisfaction in his heart, his group was currently unqualified to display it at such a time. For Titans Palace could do without them, but they could not do without the protection of Four Titans Palace if they wished to seek revenge. I can give the both of you a chance if you wish to have a leader position in Four Titans Palace. Whether you can grasp this opportunity will depend on your ability. Lin Dong smiled faintly as he looked at the two people below. What kind of chance? The Ju Yi duo lifted their heads. Their eyes were searing hot as they stared at Lin Dong. Lin Dong slowly extended his hand. After which, he slowly beckoned under the stunned expressions of the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander and the rest. Attack together and defeat me. The entire place fell into an uproar. An uproar erupted in the fighting arena because of Lin Dong's words. In fact, even the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander and the rest were stunned as they stared at Lin Dong. After all, they clearly knew how powerful the Ju Yi duo was. At the very most, they could only match up to them in a one-on-one fight. Therefore, although Lin Dong's fighting strength was comparable to a Samsara stage expert, wasn't it a little of a stretch for him to fight against the two of them by himself? Regardless, the current Lin Dong was merely at the advanced profound death stage. Little Flame was also taken back by Lin Dong's words. However, he merely glanced at Lin Dong and did not speak up. Although he felt some queries in his heart, his trust in Lin Dong remained unwavering. Brother Lin Dong, do you mean you wish to fight against the both of us by yourself? Currently, Ju Yi had a strange expression. He naturally knew that Lin Dong had an extraordinary fighting strength. In fact, he was able to match up to a Samsara stage expert even though he was merely at the peak advanced profound death stage. In fact, Ju Yi was not even confident that he could defeat Lin Dong in a one-on-one fight. However, to fight the both of them by himself, isn't Lin Dong getting a little too arrogant? Lin Dong nodded. There were hardly any emotions in his voice. Why? Are you not going to make use of this opportunity? Lin Dong clearly knew that the Ju Yi duo were arrogant and prideful individuals. Even though owing to circumstances, they had little choice but to join the Four Titans Palace, it was inevitable for them to have secret designs. Hence, the only way to truly subjugate them was to beat them until they no longer had the guts to rebel. Moreover, this was also a form of deterrence. In fact, this deterrence would not be limited to Ju Yi's group. At the same time, the growing number of experts in Four Titans Palace would also be affected. Ha ha, since Brother Lin Dong wants to fulfill our wishes, we have no reason to reject. Ju Yi laughed heartily, while his eyes were filled with rich joy. In his opinion, Lin Dong was gifting a leadership position to the both of them. When Lin Dong heard his reply, he merely smiled. However, he gave no other explanation. Zhu Li, go and spar with brother Lin Dong first. However, Zhu Yi and Zhu Li did not attack together right away. After all, they still had to rely on Lin Dong in the future. Therefore, they did not dare to offend him. Instead, Zhu Yi turned his head and instructed Zhu Li, who was standing beside him. "I?" Zhu Li nodded. After which, he cupped his hands towards Lin Dong and laughed, "Brother Lin Dong, please pardon me." Bang! Vast and mighty Yuan power swept out from within his body in all directions after his voice sounded. The life chi and death chi in his Yuan power were perfectly merged. They appeared boundless, just like the mighty ocean. A powerful pressure spread and enveloped the entire arena, causing the expressions of many powerful individuals from the Four Titans Palace to change. Although the Zhu Yi brothers were arrogant, they were also quite powerful. Hence, it's no wonder they were able to dominate the entire Western Sand region. I heard that brother Lin Dong can match up to a Samsara stage expert, despite the fact that you are merely at the profound death stage. Today, I shall witness it for myself. Zhu Li laughed out loud. Then, he waved his sleeves before Yuan power surged from behind him. Stomping his foot violently on the ground immediately cracked. After which, everyone could only see a ray of light flash past, before Zhu Li appeared in front of Lin Dong in a ghost-like fashion while being accompanied by a wild and violent offensive force. After which, he threw his palm forward. Rumble. The air in front of Zhu Li was seemingly completely shattered at this moment. A huge palm, which was filled with life-death chi, materialized in midair before it smashed towards Lin Dong. Lin Dong lifted his head. His black pupils were reflecting that palm, whose reflection was being magnified in his pupils. However, his hands were lowered and he did not show any sign of retaliating. Hence, the surrounding onlookers were all puzzled when they saw this. That huge Yuan power palm arrived in the blink of an eye. However, the attack suddenly stopped when it was 100 feet away from Lin Dong. After which, in front of many stunned pairs of eyes, it blew apart with a loud bang. This? Zhu Li was also startled by this scene. In that previous instant, he felt that his connection with that huge Yuan power palm was severed, before it self-destructed uncontrollably. Lin Dong had a nonchalant expression as he surveyed the shocked arena. Following which, his body slowly floated into the sky. Following which, resplendent silver-white light rose from behind him like the rising bright sun. Is that solidified mental energy? This place was not lacking in sharp-eyed individuals. The most prominent examples were the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio. Therefore, when they saw that resplendent silver sun behind Lin Dong's back, and detected the mighty ripples which even struck fear in their hearts, their expressions changed drastically before their eyes turned grave. This, brother Lin Dong's mental energy has actually reached the symbol Grandmaster level. Amidst the uproar, the Ghost Condor Demon Commander trio involuntarily exclaimed. Turning their heads, they faced each other and saw a shock that could not be concealed, in each other's eyes. The symbol Grandmaster level was an extremely profound level of the mental energy discipline. Upon reaching this level, one's mental energy would begin to showcase its shocking might. In fact, at that time, an ordinary samsara stage expert would be no match for him unless that expert has touched reincarnation. In the past, although they knew that Lin Dong had profound accomplishments in mental energy cultivation, he had yet to reach the symbol Grandmaster level. However, he actually became this powerful after merely 3 months' time. Both of you should fight together. Otherwise, you guys will only be throwing away this opportunity. Standing in the sky, Lin Dong looked at the shocked Zhu Yi duo and spoke with a faint smile. Brother Lin Dong's mental energy is actually this powerful. I was too arrogant. Zhu Yi's expression also became extremely grave at this moment. After all, he knew how terrifying a symbol Grandmaster was. Although the Samsara stage was technically on the same level as the symbol Grandmaster level, the symbol Grandmaster level was a little stronger in a real fight. Let's attack together. Zhu Yi turned towards Zhu Li before he said in a low and deep voice. Bang! 2 vast and mighty auras erupted from within their bodies without reservations. Then, majestic yuan power seemed to permeate across the sky. Soon after, both of them formed hand seals. It turns out that they were actually forming the same exact hand seals. Woo-woo. As both their hand seals continuously changed, mighty yuan power gathered above their heads like floodwaters. After which, they transformed into a 10,000 feet large black and white compass. Meanwhile, there were frightening ripples continuously being stacked on top of that compass. Life-death sky compass. A low cry suddenly erupted from their mouths. After which, that black and white compass immediately began to spin rapidly, causing cracks to appear on the surrounding space. Brother Lin Dong, this is the strongest defensive technique from us brothers. If you can break it, the both of us will obey your every command in the future. If we dare to disobey you, may we be punished by the heavens. The Ju Yi duo stood proudly under their compass before their cries spread into the distance. Standing in the sky, Lin Dong smiled upon hearing this. Without further ado, he slowly shut both his eyes. After which, everyone felt that the entire place had become a little dimmer. Resplendent silver-white mental energy were just like monstrous waves, as they continuously surged out from within Lin Dong's body. After which, in front of countless pairs of eyes, they transformed into a 10,000 feet giant, who stood behind Lin Dong. The entirely silver-white giant towered over the land. When that giant casually flipped his palm, a force that could obliterate the world spread. Whoosh whoosh! Unknowingly, a hurricane had begun to whistle across the sky. Subsequently, the hurricane began to rotate. Within 10 breaths' time, it transformed into a 10,000 feet large tornado. Meanwhile, that tornado was filled with a terrifying ripping force. Lin Dong's eyes were still tightly shut as he stood in front of that giant. Then, the giant standing behind him extended his huge palm before he grabbed the tornado in front of many stunned pairs of eyes. Buzz buzz. Silver-white mental energy surged into the tornado like floodwaters, before 10,000 silver rays of light shot out from within that tornado. Following which, the tornado shook before it transformed into a hurricane sword that was forged from the tornado. Countless onlookers' jaws dropped when they saw this scene. After all, though it was possible for a samsara stage expert to form a giant sword using yuan power, it was basically impossible for them to directly grab a tornado and transform it into a sword. After stepping into this level, the difference was truly day and night. The Ju Yi duo's expressions were slightly distorted. It's no wonder the common saying goes that the strength displayed by a mental energy practitioner after he stepped into the symbol Grandmaster level surpasses the strength displayed by a yuan power practitioner after he stepped into a similar cultivation stage. Buzz. As their expressions became graver, the black and white compass began to rotate at an even more intense pace. Clearly, they were using every bit of yuan power within their bodies. After all, they did not dare to underestimate Lin Dong anymore. With a hurricane sword in his hand, that giant finally swung it down. That hurricane sword was accompanied by a frightening storm as it swept down. In fact, the wild storm even caused the towering mountain to tremble. Sword of the ancestral symbol. A soft voice sounded within Lin Dong's heart after that giant swung his hurricane sword. Bang! From the tip of that wild and savage hurricane sword, a strange faintly visible symbol slowly began to spread. Finally, an incomparably bright lightning glow gushed onto the tip of the sword. An ancient symbol seemed to be floating deep within that lightning glow. Wind and lightning ripped through the land at this moment. Bang! As if a thunderbolt had ripped the heavens, the storm descended from the sky in an extremely frightening fashion, appearing just like an ancient wind dragon. Finally, it ruthlessly smashed against the 10,000 feet large black and white compass. An indescribable assault wave promptly erupted before the arena collapsed instantly. In fact, when many powerful individuals were hit by that wave, all of them vomited blood as they hastily retreated. However, even as they were retreating miserably, their eyes continued to stare intently at the source of the assault wave. At that spot, a hurricane sword with a bright lightning glow was clashing violently with a compass. The light grew increasingly resplendent during the face-off. Following which, the eyes of many powerful individuals gradually shrunk. That was because they saw many small cracks appearing on that black and white compass, which was formed by the combined all-out yuan power of the Ju-Yi duo. How is this possible? Mutterings were emitted from the Ju-Yi duo's mouths after they saw the numerous glowing cracks that had appeared above their heads. Meanwhile, their eyes were filled with disbelief. They were actually unable to block a single attack from Lin Dong, despite having joined forces? Crack. It didn't matter that this was an exceptionally difficult fact to swallow. Reality was cruel. The cracks above their heads grew increasingly dense, before their compass collapsed and exploded. The energy storm swept forth before that hurricane sword, which was still suffused with a lightning glow, crushed the life-death sky compass instantly. After which, the entire place was silent. Then, the sword stopped 100 feet above the Ju-Yi duo's heads. However, its sharp aura caused blood to appear on their bodies. While the entire arena descended into silence, Lin Dong, who was standing in the sky, slowly opened his eyes. Then, he looked at the somewhat stunned Ju-Yi duo in a nonchalant manner, before his faint voice resounded across the place. "You have lost. You lost." When Lin Dong's voice spread across the sky, the originally quiet arena gradually turned into an uproar. Many people quietly parted their lips as they tried their best to calm the shock in their hearts. No one expected the result to appear so quickly. Initially, they thought that this fight would drag on for a while before the victor was decided. However, reality taught them the meaning of the word decisive. We lost. The stunned expressions on the faces of the Ju-Yi duo lasted for quite a while before they gradually recovered their senses. Exchanging glances with each other, they realized that both their faces were a little pale. However, they eventually nodded before they painfully admitted their defeats. Such overbearing mental energy. When the Heaven Dragon Demon Commanders group saw the final result, a grave expression surfaced in their eyes. Previously, Lin Dong had used his full strength when he attacked. However, the might of that sword attack caused them, who were merely bystanders, to feel their bodies turn cold. Moreover, they knew that if that attack was directed towards them, it was likely that they would be severely injured even if they could block it. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio lifted their heads and looked at the skinny figure in the sky. There was a complicated emotion in their eyes. The first time they met Lin Dong, the latter had to use various techniques before he could barely deal with them. Yet, in less than a year's time, this young man, who was once an insignificant youth in their eyes, had slowly closed the gap before he finally surpassed them. The rate at which he was improving was truly frightening. The three of them sighed secretly in their hearts, before the final bit of dissatisfaction buried deep within their hearts finally vanished. With Lin Dong's current strength, they no longer had a reason not to submit to him. Furthermore, with his current strength, they finally accepted Lin Dong as the true leader of the Four Titans Palace. Moreover, this had nothing to do with the fact that he was the Dragon Tribe's punishment elder. Standing in the sky, the silver giant behind Lin Dong slowly disappeared. After which, warm sunlight once again scattered across the dim ground, enveloping the messy arena. Huff! A cluster of silver-white vapor was emitted from Lin Dong's mouth. When he felt the surging mental energy in his Niwen Palace, a satisfied expression emerged on his face. After advancing to the symbol Grandmaster level, the strength of his mental energy had undergone a drastic transformation. Moreover, he was merely at the initial symbol Grandmaster level. Additionally, unless it was a Samsara stage expert who has touched reincarnation, like First Elder Shu Li of the Celestial Demon Martin tribe, he did not fear any other Samsara stage expert. The bitter decade-long training in purgatory was ultimately not in vain. Thank you for allowing me to win. Lin Dong suppressed the thoughts in his heart before he landed on the ground. When he looked at the somewhat depressed Ju Yi and Ju Li, a warm smile appeared on his face. This was startlingly different from the icy-cold expression from before. Previously, the Ju Yi duo was far too arrogant. Hence, in order to get them to submit, Lin Dong had no choice but to display an even harsher stance. Otherwise, the Ju Yi duo might secretly despise him if he chose to be soft with them right from the start. When they heard his words, the Ju Yi duo immediately replied courteously. Their haughtiness from before had completely vanished. After all, they took pride in their own strength, and from the way they saw it, Even though the Four Titans Palace was quite formidable, the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander and the rest were only considered as their equals. Therefore, they refused to submit to them. However, they didn't expect that the Four Titans Palace actually had such a fearsome person, Lin Dong. Since the both of you are interested in joining my Four Titans Palace, the both of you shall become elders. Your subordinates will also become part of Four Titans Palace. However, you must obey our rules once you join, and we will show no mercy to anyone who disobeys them. Lin Dong said. Yes. The Ju Yi brothers nodded. They also understood that they did not possess the ability to discipline their subordinates. Otherwise, their subordinates would not be this scattered mob. Moreover, the Four Titans Palace would naturally not allow their subordinates to stir trouble. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander's group secretly sighed in relief when they saw that the Ju Yi duo had finally submitted. Secretly, they were rather impressed with Lin Dong's actions. After all, if they were in his shoes, it was likely that they would have found it difficult to get those two arrogant individuals to submit. Increase the training intensity over the following days. A major event will occur soon in the Demon region, and our Four Titans Palace must not miss out on it. Lin Dong turned his head and looked at the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander's group before he said. The Devouring Divine Palace would appear in less than a month's time, and it would definitely cause a huge commotion in the Demon region. Hence, they had to make some preparations. Furthermore, although most individuals did not know what was inside the Devouring Divine Palace, it was impossible to keep the information under wraps for long. Hence, once the information was revealed, there was no telling just how many powerful individuals would swarm over. At that time, it was likely not going to be an easy task to successfully obtain the inheritance of the Devouring Master. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander's group felt a little doubtful when they heard Lin Dong's words. However, they merely nodded after they saw that Lin Dong did not intend to elaborate. Heaven Dragon, you will be responsible for handling Elder Ju Yi and Ju Li, get them familiarized with the Four Titans Palace and arrange their duties. Understood. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander nodded and replied. Lin Dong did not linger on after issuing his instructions. He turned around and walked towards the main hall. Immediately, Little Martin and Little Flame followed closely behind, leaving behind many awestruck members of the Four Titans Palace. Brother Lin Dong is truly becoming increasingly unfathomable. The Golden Ape Demon Commander sighed as he looked at Lin Dong's figure. How unexpected. It has only been 3 months since we last saw him. Yet, he has already advanced to the Symbol Grandmaster level. The Ghost Condor Demon Commander also laughed bitterly. His voice was filled with amazement. All right, let's cut it out. Behind Lin Dong are the Dragon Tribe and the Celestial Demon Martin Tribe. This is not something that an ordinary person can achieve. The reason why the 9 Phoenix Tribe did not attack our Four Titans Palace after we offended Mang Mountain is all because of Lin Dong's background. Therefore, the Four Titans Palace can do without us, but it cannot do without Brother Lin Dong. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander glanced at the other two, before he said in a faint voice, given Brother Lin Dong's talent, who can say for certain that he will not advance into the reincarnation stage in the future? At that time, who in the Demon region will not know the name, Four Titans Palace? Moreover, we will also be able to rely on this to grow our reputation in the entire Demon region. Our reputation then will definitely exceed that of being an overlord of a small territory like before. Therefore, I think it's best to quickly extinguish any rebellious thoughts in your minds. The both of you should be well aware of Brother Lin Dong's modus operandi. The Golden Ape Demon Commander and the Ghost Condor Demon Commander were both startled. After which, they nodded quietly. Big brother, has your mental energy advanced to the Symbol Grandmaster level? In the main hall, Little Flame asked joyously. That's right. Lin Dong smiled and nodded. He looked at Little Flame's metal tower-like body. When the three of them stood together, he and Little Martin combined were not even half of Little Flame's size. Did the Four Titans Palace run into any problems over this period of time? Lin Dong narrowed his eyes. Little Flame was managing the Four Titans Palace by himself after he left. However, since the latter had yet to reach the Samsara stage, Lin Dong did not know if the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio would willingly obey him. Nope. Big brother, you can be rest assured. The Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio might be powerful, but they are also wise individuals. Therefore, they didn't do any shady things behind my back. Little Flame nodded and replied. Good. Lin Dong felt assured after hearing this. The Four Titans Palace was something they were going to use when they charged back to the Eastern Xian region. Therefore, if the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander trio tried to cause trouble, he could only strike them down. Additionally, someone from the Devil Tiger tribe came looking for me not long ago. Little Flame rubbed his head and said. Oh. Lin Dong was slightly startled. The Devil Tiger tribe was one of the 8 king tribes and they were quite powerful. Could it be that the reason why they came looking for Little Flame was because the latter possessed the bloodline of the Devil Tiger tribe? The one who came to look for me was an elder of the Devil Tiger tribe. He said that I am extremely talented and can contest for the position of tribe leader of the Devil Tiger tribe. Little Flame replied. Asking you to contest for the position of tribe leader? Lin Dong was bewildered. Although Little Flame possessed the bloodline of the Devil Tiger tribe, he had nothing to do with the tribe. Yet, they actually asked a foreign person like him to contest for the position of tribe leader. The tiger tribes do not pay much attention to relationships. As long as one has a similar bloodline, one is qualified to contest for the position of tribe leader. Of course, the precondition is that one must possess formidable might. That is because the fight within the tiger tribes will typically end with one victor. Moreover, the rest of them will typically be killed by their competitors. Standing beside them, Little Martin glanced lazily at Little Flame and said, It seems like that Devil Tiger tribe elder most likely came with bad intentions. Although Little Flame is quite powerful, he will most likely end up dead if he tried to contest for the position of tribe leader now. Lin Dong frowned. He did not expect the competition for the position of tribe leader in the Devil Tiger tribe to be this bloody. Let's set aside this matter for now. You can get involved in that mess once you are confident in yourself. There is no need to rush. Lin Dong shook his head and cautioned. Little Flame did not object to Lin Dong's suggestion. After all, as long as Lin Dong did not give his approval, he would not agree to it. That's right, big brother. You mentioned that something big is going to happen in a month's time. What exactly is it? When Little Flame recalled what Lin Dong mentioned previously, he involuntarily asked out of curiosity. Seated on a chair, Lin Dong gently exhaled before he muttered, The Devouring Divine Palace. Little Flame's body stiffened, before his expression became completely solemn. After returning to the Four Titans Palace, besides that one day where he had to fight in order to intimidate the Ju Yi duo, the rest of Lin Dong's days were rather quiet and peaceful. Moreover, the Ju Yi duo did not create any more problems after that day and this allowed the Four Titans Palace to descend into a peaceful state. However, due to Lin Dong's request, the atmosphere within the entire Four Titans Palace became exceptionally tense. Meanwhile, its defenses were also tightened. Time passed one day after another amidst this tense training environment. Over a dozen days later, Lin Dong was sitting in a hall located on a mountaintop. As he overlooked the many powerful individuals from Four Titans Palace who were training in the square below, he felt a tinge of satisfaction. However, just as he was about to leave, his expression suddenly changed before he lifted his head. Then, his dark black eyes contained a wild joy as he looked towards the distant northern sky. A crack surfaced between his brows, before the mysterious eye of the ancestral symbol stealthily appeared. Following which, Lin Dong's vision seemingly penetrated through space before it arrived at the distant northern region. A huge crack had appeared in that area. Meanwhile, a wild and violent energy, that seemed capable of dominating the world, spread from within that crack. The Yuan power in the entire land seemed to have become chaotic at this moment. It is finally about to appear? The eye of the ancestral symbol, that was wedged between Lin Dong's brows, slowly disappeared. Soon after, he gradually clenched his hand. However, the waves stirred in his heart refused to die down. That was because the day that he had been waiting for has finally arrived. This episode ends here.